My opponent now has a bunch of Firestorm Crawlers. He did buy out, but he didn't get any temporary upgrades. So next round I am losing 250 in combined army value because of the rapid resupply and the temporary upgrades. My opponent does not have that problem. That said, even with the Firestorm Crawlers, I still have some really big chaff moving in. So these fortresses are definitely hurting, and I'm starting to get the thanks. Is it enough, however? That is the big question. This fortress is also mostly down. The marksmen have been doing good work on it, and there's not really me competing with the range of either the marksman or the stormcaller. So in the end, it is another lost round, though not enough to kill me yet. Down to 280 health. Electromagnetic Blast. Speed Specialist even. I think that is not even bad against carrier class because you need to close the distance or stay at range. There's two options. You can either try to outrange them or to rush them with HP. I guess for my opponent, yeah, Speed Specialist is not as good as the EMP. That said, once more, EMP. I like to counter it by just going for Fortress Shields. I don't have enough fortresses or the money to put enough fortresses out, so I kinda have to go for additional shields here. My opponent is doubling down a bit on the Stormcallers with fire. I do get my temporary upgrades and buy out once more. It's a really desperate fight here, I have to say. And I do get some additional chaff to distract these Stormcallers. These are new, yeah. They haven't done anything yet. But I decide to kinda split this in the middle, hoping that the Stormcrawlers will fire and the Crawlers will just naturally move through towards either of these packs. My opponent sold something, I'm not sure what he sold. He did buy out once more, but he's not getting temporary upgrades unless he hits the range button. Yeah, he does. I would have done the same, I think. EMP lands, but it's not really much of a bother. The chaff has been eliminated, but they did bait the first Stormcaller shots, so I think that's fairly decent. The Stormcallers are definitely a problem because all of my late chaff is dying and there's no way of really stopping it. However, I just have enough late chaff to kinda make it work a bit. I once again get the expensive, or the, not expensive, the high XP fangs, and with the fortresses in front, the Phoenixes actually did a decent job of surviving this round. So now they can help against everything else. There's only Carriarchs moving in here, but this is not enough to kill that fortress and these Carriarchs. And with them starting to be level 4, I think I can probably now call them Carriarchs. I didn't even lose any of the shields. Now, there is another deployment specialist, so I could be getting number 3 here. I think I decided against it, if I'm not mistaken. Because this is not the time to meme, this is the time to try and win. And going for a portable shield and doubling this fortress's health, it's not as efficient as on other units because the shield does not get doubled, or I guess quadrupled up. But it is decent enough. What does my opponent do? I honestly don't think advanced firepower control system on something that kills fortresses is a bad choice. So, what are you going to do, my opponent? I now get Elite Marksman. It should definitely be worth it here. I'm once again buying out, getting my temporary upgrades, and I have 400 to spare. He does go for a Melter and he puts shield on it. Alright. Decent choice, I think. I have so much chaff and so little arc light. I do go for another fortress here. And he now has EMP on the sledges, so he does want to counter my Carriarchs with that. But I don't think it's a particularly worthwhile investment, simply because the sledges are being stuck on the getting stuck on the fortresses. Like if I didn't have these fortresses here and they would be shooting the arc lights at some point, I think it would be worth more. If he wants EMP, I think he should have gotten it on the Stormcallers, honestly. Chaff in the middle, doing its job absolutely amazingly. Splitting your chaff against Stormcrawlers is pretty nice, I guess. Shields do get broken rather quickly by, I guess, the leveled sledges, maybe? I'm not even sure what dealt enough damage to the shields to break them so quickly, but I'm guessing it's the Stormcrawlers and the sledges. This melter has successfully locked on, so that fortress is going out of here pretty quickly. But there really isn't much else here. The fortress dies after the melting point, even though it has been locked on for quite a while. The Arclights have begun scaling, and now it's panic time for my opponent. There's chaff clear on the board, there is even a war factory on the board, if I want to destroy my economy even further, and that's exactly what I'm doing. My opponent also is going for a war factory. I'm not exactly sure why. Ah, he is selling it. Makes sense. I'm dropping another war factory. And yeah, because there's 3 packs of Stormcrawlers out. Even if he launcher overloaded them, even if he had that tech, I should be able to deal with it. I'm once again destroying my economy even further. How long will it be until I go negative in the supply? The Arclights are getting levels. I have so few units here because I ruined my economy. My opponent still has well over 1,000 in the bank. He does have 3 melters with range now. If memory serves, he goes for EMP on the melters. I wonder what's better here, EMP here or EMP here. It costs the same. This is kind of more steady and on everything. Ah, he's going for EMP on the marksman. Okay. I think that's the worst unit to put EMP on, to be honest. I think it makes a lot more sense on the Stormcrawlers or on the Melters. Both of these, I think, for EMP would have been decent choices, but I guess he maybe didn't want to put it on missiles. Simply because War Factory was an option and Missile Interceptor is exactly what I got. Now, let's see how good of a job these Missile Interceptors still do. Because War Factories have been nerfed, but I think the Missile Interceptors have not gotten nerfed at all. The first salvo lands in the middle, there was not really any preventing it, but on the side there is no fire here. Neither here nor here. So the crawlers were pushing in and surviving, and a lot of fangs are still alive as well. Now I'm basically already at the throat of my opponent, and there is full HP fortress on this side, along with a War Factory. This War Factory dies, but my opponent really does not have anything left at all. Is that enough damage to finish him? No, it is not. If the War Factory were, as all other units are doing, if it were to deal the same amount of damage that it costs to put on the battlefield, it would have finished him on the exact amount of HP. Now, there would have been Deployment Specialist, in theory, number 4. So you could be thinking about dropping literally 7 units of chaff in one round. But against this board? No. No. With this much fire, I guess I have the fire under control. Like, my EQ is so freaking bad in the toilet. I couldn't even afford that chaff. Look at it. I have 2 fortresses and 7 carry Arclights. And I guess a bunch of War Factories and Phoenixes and a lot of chaff. But for round number 10, that is an abysmal amount of units on the battlefield. My opponent did decide to go for the EMP on the Melters. I still think it would be better on the Stormcrawlers, simply because they are more constant EMP. I could be wrong though. Yeah, we'll see. The Stormcrawlers and 4 Melters worth of EMP missiles is probably going to be more than the War Factories can handle. My opponent is in fact going for oil as well. I've dropped some oil here. I think he drops another shield. Yeah, another 2 shields and 3 shields. Yeah, makes absolute sense. So we'll see what happens here. I dropped some anti-missile devices to help with the missile clear. Fire, however, now has landed or basically was induced everywhere here with the oil. I did not have the money to shield against that as well, even if I would have planned on it. However, there is still some chaff alive here, and that is distracting my opponent to a great degree. EMP now comes in, some of it lands, but the War Factory does not get EMP'd, and it is enough HP for the Arclights to just push through. In the end, it is a very close fight over... Well, no, actually it's not. I think almost none of my carry Arclights died. And I do end up finishing my opponent with a clean 100 HP. So, this was a very symmetrical fight. I like that he even put these units at an offset, just to maintain a bit of symmetry. That is something I like. He had more Stormcallers here, but he had the oil here, so I think it was a good move to do that. Yeah, I just like how symmetrical my board is. Actually, other levels symmetrical. 4, 5, 4, and 5, 4, 6. Okay, they are not symmetrical, but that would be asking too much. Anyway, thank you very much for watching and listening. And I hope you had a great day. And if you're playing carry Arclights, apparently even in a situation where your economy is so atrocious that you basically have to... Like, for the last round, I was getting 400, I was getting 700 less supply, and I wasted so much money on upgrades that I think this might be the cheapest army that I had put up on the battlefield at round number 10 at all. This looks like a round 6 army to me, honestly, based on the monetary value. But I guess a lot of it is stacked in pretty small carry Arclight units. Anyway, thank you very much for watching and listening, and I hope you have a great day. And yeah, I like carry Arclights, and I will try to play that again. Until next time.